The shout ripped the afternoon stillness like cloth. In the walled garden behind Joachim's house in Babylon, where the fig threw dappled shade and the gate bolt sat in its groove, Susanna crossed her arms over her chest and backed toward the path. Two elders of the community, men whose judgments cowed crowds and settled inheritance lines, had waited for the hour when her maidens were sent to fetch oil. They had watched her all season, measuring habit, rehearsing nerve. When the moment came, they stepped from the trees and demanded what they had already decided to take. "Lie with us, or we will swear we caught you with another man." She refused. They lunged. She fled and cried out, and the garden answered with running feet. Neighbors crowded the outer gate, jangling the latch. The elders were first through with their story shaped and ready. They wore the faces of men grieved by duty. They said they had entered the garden at her husband's request and found her with a lover. They said they tried to seize the man, but he leapt the wall. They said she was guilty of a capital sin. Susanna's father, Hilkiah, lifted a hand to the stone to steady himself. Joachim searched his wife's eyes and found only the shock of someone forced to choose between body and soul and refusing to lose either by consent. By nightfall, rumor had hardened into charge. In the morning, there would be court. At dawn, the people gathered in the court. Procedure dressed fear in order. Elders seated in shade, families at the edges, a scribe ready with a reed. Susanna stood with her kin and answered when called. Her voice did not beg. It named the trap and the choice. If I consent, I die in my soul. If I refuse, I may die in my body. I will not sin against the Lord. The two judges retold their account with the easy harmony of men who had rehearsed. Time, place, detail, each lined up like soldiers on parade. Heads nodded because the men were old, and the room was tired of doubt. Susanna lifted her eyes above the faces that would not meet hers. Eternal God, you know this is false. You see what men hide. Give me deliverance from their hands. It was prayer and testimony at once, a refusal to bend the truth, even when the truth looked useless. The court kept moving. Condemnation thickened. Then a voice cut across the murmur. He was young, not yet numbered among the judges, and his name was Daniel. He had listened all morning, weighing the tale against the way sin behaves when it is real and the way lies behave when they are arranged. He felt heat climb his chest, the kind that forces words out even when prudence says, "Be small." Are you such fools, sons of Israel, that you have condemned a daughter of Israel without examining and knowing the truth? The challenge hung in the open like a bell note. If it had come from anyone else, the assembly might have brushed it aside. Today the rebuke carried a weight older than his years. "Separate them," Daniel said. No glances, no borrowed memory. Guards led one elder toward the far wall and kept the other by the gate. Daniel went to the first and asked a question simple enough to be nothing if the story were true and fatal if it was brittle. "Under what tree did you see them together?" the man said. "Under a mastic." Daniel let the answer stand and crossed the court. He asked the second the same question. "Under what tree?" the man said. "Under an evergreen oak." Between those trees lay the rope that would have killed an innocent woman. The court shifted. People who had been careful not to see Susanna now faced her. Daniel told the first elder, "Your lie has condemned you. The angel of God has your sentence." He told the second the same. Courage born of shame moved through the crowd, and the rest of the truth was dragged into the light. Servants swore the gate was latched. The maidens testified to Susanna's modest pattern. Neighbors admitted the elders' habit of lingering where they had no business. The water cleared when no one was stirring it. Law cut both ways. The statute that armed judges against adulterers also bound judges who lied. False witnesses in a capital case were to receive the punishment they sought for the accused. No one cheered when the sentence fell on the elders. The air had the quiet of surgery, not spectacle. They were led out as they had once led others, beards long, voices gone, authority emptied by exposure. Their power had been a mask for desire. The law they used as cover returned as a mirror. Susanna did not celebrate. She survived. She stepped into Joachim's arms and shook with a relief that hurt. Hilkiah placed his palm on her head and could not finish the blessing he began. The street that would have watched a killing became a corridor of apology. Faces turned aside. Eyes sought hers and dropped. Daniel tried to slip back to the edge of the crowd, but the city had heard the weight in a young man's rebuke and would not forget it soon. The story ran through markets and across thresholds, passed from jar-filling women to men under awnings arguing price and profits. Parents used it to teach their sons as much as their daughters. Desire that refuses God will grasp at law to hide itself. Reputation without character is a trap. Knowledge of Scripture without fear of the Lord is a danger to the weak. Scribes set the account in ink because communities forget unless a page holds the promise they make to the vulnerable. We will ask questions. We will separate witnesses. We will not let authority write the ending before the truth is told. Days returned in their old order: swept stone, bread broken, a latch checked that had been checked for years. Susanna walked her garden again. The maidens moved closer as water poured from the jar, and the shade under the fig felt borrowed back. She did not pretend nothing had happened. She claimed the hours the lie tried to steal. The elders' names slid into the kind of hush reserved for warnings rather than graves. What lingers is how close the city came to a gentler murder. Two officials with memorized verses prepared a story neat enough to satisfy a tired court. A woman stood alone because power trains communities to doubt the vulnerable first. Then, a boy asked one question anyone could have asked, and God made the timing perfect. The lesson is not cleverness. It is courage in the fear of God. Courts must test testimony. Elders must endure cross-examination. Authority must be a porch for the weak, not a trap. Afterward, the community tried to make its memory useful. Joachim opened his gate to neighbors who came with bread and awkward apologies, and the assembly posted a new rule in the square. In any capital case, witnesses would be separated and questioned on place, time, and sequence before any vote. Mothers repeated the rule to daughters as comfort and to sons as charge. Daniel, still young, sat with those elders who had not fallen and read the statutes aloud until the words about protecting the weak sounded like duty instead of ornament. The habit spread from court to courtyard and back again. It did not fix every heart, but it fixed the habit of listening. The gate clicks home in the telling. The path is swept. Water runs. The woman who walks there is not the creature the elders summoned with lies. She is herself, and she is free, because heaven heard her prayer, and a voice no one expected to matter arrived in the narrow minute when it could still do good. Thank you for listening to Divine Crime. Subscribe for more true stories from the most dangerous book ever written.